what made you want to, because obviously I know you as a counsellor and as a counselling tutor, what made you want to, because you've got your own company, you've got your own business to think again, which you set up, what made you want to counsel in the first place? What kind of fueled your love for it? Because it's quite a draining and intense profession, so you've got to really love it.
Yeah. So I do apologise. My Facebook just went off in the background, so I just have to close that.
These things happen. Don't worry.
Good timing. No, yeah, it's funny, really. I'm just thinking back, and I had therapy for depression years and years ago. Probably now 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was off sick from my job with anxiety and depression. And I liked it. And my therapist said, "Oh, why don't you do the training?" At the time, I didn't know I was autistic. And so in hindsight, there's a lot of interesting things going on in that I didn't realize at the time. And one of the interesting things is studying counselling gave me the social skills that I was probably struggling with. It helped me understand people better. You know, so I mean, growing up, you know, always struggling with people, relationships, friendships, always struggling to fit in, feeling like a bit of an outcast. And all of a sudden, there's this training that teaches you how to listen to people, how to empathize with people, you know, how to respond when people are telling you things, and because I never knew what to say or what to do, made you feel more confident when engaging with people. Not only that, you know, if life's very, very confusing and people are very confusing, a good thing to study is psychology, because all of a sudden they start making more sense because they fit into a framework.
Yeah.
Like if someone has been through this, they might feel this emotion, and then, you know, that might cause this anxiety problem. And why does that happen? Oh, because this happened to them, because, you know, and they're trying to find control, or they're trying to, you know, so everything all of a sudden started fitting into a framework. So under the surface, even though I didn't know I was autistic, what happened was it started giving me answers. And the thing I loved most about counselling was actually just learning about people, because everything started making sense then in life. So, I mean, later on, when I got diagnosed with autism, I did actually say to some people enrolling that actually it can be very helpful for autistic people to even just do basic counselling training, you know, even just an introductory course. So I got into it. I don't think I understood at the time, but in a nutshell, I got into it because it helped me understand the world and people. Originally, that was why. I mean, I did want to, I thought I was getting into it because I wanted to help people, but and which is still true and is definitely true, but there was something else going on. There was this like real connection, this like, oh, things are starting to make sense now and they never have kind of thing. Yeah. So that was the driving force for getting into counselling, really. And the way I communicate now and the way I am now largely is due to doing counselling training, and the way I can cope in the world is largely due to counselling training. Really, and why I can handle situations, and you know, because in the past, it's funny looking back in the past, like I would just I didn't understand that when I would be talking as well, that like it would have an emotional impact on people. So I'd be too honest and tell people the truth too much, and people will be like, not know how to take me. I'm getting annoyed at me, and then and I'm still learning this now, actually. And it's funny, after what I've got like eight years in this now or something, and I'm having this thing of in my head where I think, right, okay, you've learned if you tell people what's wrong with them and the way they are, it can be upsetting. So remember, and I'm actually telling, even now, I'm telling myself, just remember when you're communicating, it has an impact on people, and what might that feel like for them, even if it's true, even if you think you're being helpful. and then all the countless stuff is helping me engage in relationships and day-to-day life. If you don't stop me talking, I'll just keep talking.
No,
So feel free to step in.
No, it's great. It's great. I mean, that, that's interesting, because I wanted to ask you how you feel like you've changed and developed, and I guess you've just answered that question in terms of being able to be in the world. But yeah, I mean, how from when you started out until now, what have you learned about yourself? How have you changed and developed as a person, would you say?
I've definitely become much more empathic. And when people are behaving in a challenging way, I can spend some time thinking about what's gone on for them to be being like that. And sometimes actually it can go the other way, where I'm so empathic, actually I forget about my own needs, which is not ideal sometimes. I kind of I'm much calmer, and I understand when challenging things are coming up in me. One of the big things I've learned to do is just slow it right down. Why am I responding like this? Is this a trigger from the past? Is this hitting a nerve in me from something I've experienced? And I've learned to really slow things down. And again, like I mentioned before, reflect on. So sometimes I think I'm being helpful with people in my life, and actually it's not helpful. And just really reflect on the way I'm being, and if that's good for other people or not. Also, as well, I think what it's helped me. So for me, there's been this sense in my life, I think, where I felt weird all my life, like, because I am weird. I am weird, and I'm okay with that. But part of the reason why I am okay with that is because I've learned that through the counselling, that it's okay to be you, and it's okay to really think about who you are and what your identity is. And you don't have to. It's not healthy to pretend to be something you're not a lot of the time. And so counselling training has helped me to actually go, actually, this is actually who I am. It's okay to be like this. And actually, if I start repressing that and pushing that down, I'm not going to be happy. So there's been a big thing for me recently, just to give you something specific on that, so to give you something tangible to cling on to with that. I've always felt, I mean, I've watched, it's really common with autistic people, apparently, this. I've always watched children's TV shows, and had a real connection to children's films and things like that. And I don't know what it is, like maybe it's a comfort for me. I've always felt a part of me still like a boy. And then in the past, I felt like, oh no, I need to grow up. You need to suppress that. You need to push it down. And then when I've listened to people talk, and especially because my field as a therapist, I'm so much focused on identity and who are you really? What have you been suppressing? What's the real you? Doing the training, it's really helped me think, you know what, actually, it's okay that I still feel like the part of me is a child. That's all right. If I want, I mean, what you can't see now is that just in my room there were loads of Disney Pixar toys. In fact, there's even more after the last 2 days, because I went out and bought even more. Awesome. My whole flat is filled with them, and the reason is because it makes me feel happy, and I enjoy the films. And I'm not gonna, and even though I'm 38, I'm not gonna suppress that part of me and push it down because I'm supposed to fit into like a norm. You know what I mean? Or like, and even like gender stereotypes and things like that. I'm not traditionally masculine, but that's all right.
Absolutely.
I don't have to pretend. I don't have to pretend to be a big football fan and go down the pub, and you know what I mean. I like Disney. I'm quite, I like playing Minecraft, and counselling training. And really, because so much counselling training is so much self-reflection, and even recently, I've been thinking, who am I? Who's the real me? As Carl Rogers would say, the organismic self. That's what I'm and you're nodding there because you all you've been doing is reflecting on that the last 2 years. But I started really thinking, oh no, if part of me still feels like that and gets joy from that, celebrate it, let it be in my life. And if I get to 70 and I still feel like I'm part of me is a child, or I still get comfort from that, that's all right. And so that counselling training has been big in that area in terms of an identity thing. Just letting myself be me. I don't have to go along the line of stereotypes. I don't have to, constantly be a mature adult, all the time. I'm allowed to be, I'm allowed to, nurture that inner child, if you like. And apparently it's quite common for autistic people to have that real connection still to their inner child. I've come across quite a few autistic people who really have that link. And everybody does to a certain extent probably, but I've noticed, especially with autistic people, there's that real, that inner child is very present often,
I think it's great. It's really good because you spend a lot of time, I think, sort of questioning why you do these things, and is there something wrong? But in fact it's going, well, actually no, it's okay. And what I'm hearing is like, it's okay to just enjoy a part of yourself that you really love and you really connect with. And you're not hurting anybody, you're just enjoying your life. You're in touch with your organismic self, which I think is a beautiful thing. And thanks for sharing that, because I relate a lot of that to being criticized as a wrestling fan, and the kind of person that stays up and watches live streams of wrestling with people, and so I get that completely. But I think it's so people like yourself who are championing kind of just being comfortable with that, I think is a positive thing, because a lot of people do feel stigmatized against for those types of things, and it's a shame and it's just my opinion, just my opinion, but, yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, the as a follow on from that, in terms of your autism and how it affects you on a day-to-day level, particularly within your counselling practice, because one of the things we're trying to do with Waro is sort of motivate people to consider career paths that they might feel is a little bit out of reach, if they've got cerebral palsy or if they're autistic. Now, you're a great example to someone with autism, and actually you can counsel. You can do this. And so how does it affect how does it affect you? What kind of barriers did you come up against when you were training, if there were any, and kind of how did you bring those down? Sort of talk me through how you work with your autism. It might be better to phrase it differently. How you work with your autism in a counselling context.
It's a good question, that, because I feel like there are pros and cons. Could I just check my volume level? Is that okay on the mic?
It's fine. Yeah.
It's a good question, that, because I feel like it has loads of positives and loads of challenges. To start off with the positives, like I very fixated, focused interests, which again, of course, is a common autistic trait, and psychology was one of them for a long period of time. It's less so now because sometimes your interests do change, but that fixation on psychology has been quite helpful because I've learned things very quick, and it helps me able to empathize sometimes, and I can spot things in people that might be causing problems because I've spent so much time chewing over the psychology that it can be really helpful. Also, the kind of another positive I think I found as well is I don't seem to be emotionally impacted as much as some other people with this stuff. And I seem to be able to deal with things in a quite logical, methodical way.
Okay.
So when people tell me really horrendous things, I can handle it fairly well. I don't know if that's an autistic thing or not, but I can quite quickly put it down after the session without carrying it with me all week. Still feel concern and compassion for people. Don't get me wrong. There's a connection, but I think in my mind sometimes I can see it as like a bit of a mechanical thing, and it protects me a little bit.
Yeah.
I think maybe that might be what's going on. and I think it gives me a different viewpoint on things sometimes. So I'm able to reflect things back that might be a little bit outside of the box thinking, or possibly, and it's definitely helped me academically doing the counselling training, because I just get, like I say, I get so fixated. I did my master's in a year, and really, I think in 10 months I'd written 35,000 words, and read a huge pile of books, and that's all I thought about 24/7. And I think I could cope with that because I was autistic, and it's all I thought about. Well, some of the challenges are being, I really have to think about emotions. I really have to I'm not 100% sure I'm getting the subtlety in emotion sometimes. I'm not 100% sure I am.
Okay.
But fortunately, I talk about that with my counselling supervisor, and I'm because I'm aware of that, that's okay, and I reflect on it and things like that. And I'm not sure I'm picking up the same emotions that other therapists would.
Okay.
However, my particular line of therapy has an educational element to it and plays really well to my strengths as a therapist, because it involves lots of discussion of theory, because people heal through understanding of the theory. So, the psychoeducation. Yeah. So it actually plays to my strengths as an autistic therapist, because actually I understand it very well. I think apparently I do. And so I'm able to support the client in understanding their experience through the theory. So I think I fell into the right area for my strengths as an autistic person. Nice. Also, in terms of being in private practice as a therapist, the meticulousness and the planning and the organizing, and I can keep on top of it fairly well.
Nice. Yeah. So it helps with organization.
Yeah. I've got to say though, I have to work quite hard in the sessions, and it's taken a long time to not counsel people like I'm doing it from a textbook.
Right. Yeah.
Because I learned the scripts.
Right.
So, often when people talk to me to day-to-day life, because I've learned the paraphrasing and the reflecting and counselling skills, I often know the script to respond, and my mind, I go, "There's the script, say it." And I realised in therapy, I've been in private practice 2.5 years, and I'm still. Before I came on this call, I had a client, and I was thinking, I still feel like I'm new. I still feel like I've only just learned this. I had a moment when I was in the session, and I thought, and then it's because I'm still thinking as if it's robotic.
Yeah.
Because that's how I understand it, and I'm still trying to say, okay, hang on a minute. Let this be more, let yourself come through more. And I'm still trying to be the real me in the session 2.5 years down the line.
Yeah.
And part of that, I think, is because the robotic stuff makes more sense to me, and it's more controllable.
Yeah.
And now I think, actually, the sessions feel better if I'm allowing myself to go off script, but still doing the right thing. But I don't have to. I mean, because you've just done the training, I don't have to go, what I'm hearing is, it sounds like, and I think, I don't talk like that.
Yeah.
And it's okay, to let myself come through. So it's got its pros and cons. And obviously one thing that has been quite challenging is connecting with other people in the class. So when I did my training, I struggled to connect with people in a social context. I get in groups, get quite confused, can't track what's going on. And someone actually said to me at the end of the course, we've been in the same course for 3 years, and I don't know yet, which I don't know is a good thing. But I think they meant it in a way of, I would have liked to, or, I'd like to get to, not in a critical way, but it's because I was just a bit closed off. I didn't connect with people very well. In fact, when I started on the course, everyone used to go on their dinner and have dinner together, and I just walk off on my own and sit and read a book in the corner, because that was more enjoyable to me, socially interacting with people. That was fairly tough. But there are a lot of autistic counsellors out there. You wouldn't think it. And you know, I think there's lots of myths to do with autism, I think, that actually probably get in the way of people thinking they could be therapists. But, you know, but I reckon as well, one thing I found as well is that autistic people will look for autistic therapists, or therapists who understand, you know, and actually, you know, autism, it brings, special things into counselling as well. So yeah, it's got its challenges, but it's definitely an option, you know, for as a career for autistic people, because I just think there's so many special things about autism that it brings as well. That can help people. And like I say, I was so fixated and studied so much that now all of that knowledge is helping people. So yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I have a habit, by the way, of answering questions and then I forget what the question is. And I can't remember if I'm even on track.
I'm going to know you're on track. We're doing well. I think, sorry, got a bit of hay fever. It's like the worst.
Okay.
But yeah, I was going to sort of add to that, really, in terms of if you could come up with like a list, sort of a key tips for anybody looking, you know, researching into their local college or university for counselling courses, if they have autism, for example, if you could sort of, you know, write down sort of 3 to 5 key tips of what to do, how to approach it, what to consider. What do you think your sort of 3 to 5 key tips would be?
Specific to autistic people or anyone?
Well, I think, specific to autistic people, but if you've got any other ones as well, I'm sure this will relate to counselling students across the board.
My first tip would be for anyone is test it out first with like a 10 to 12 week course. Get a feel for like if it's you or not, because it's a big commitment, you know, and that's definitely a good thing to do. Also, I think one of the things, I mean, my counselling tutor, when I was studying counselling, noticed that I wasn't very good at answering questions in a lesson. So if you put me on the spot, I almost will never be able to answer it, because my mind is processing things. It takes a while, you know. And fortunately, she spotted this, just wouldn't put me on the spot anymore. This is before I had the diagnosis, but really, I think if your tutor knows, you know, you can say to them, actually, it's quite difficult when you put me on the spot, because usually I'm somewhere else. I'm still processing something from 10 minutes ago. So I used to like just sit in my own little world, just chewing it over. Just, you know, I didn't want anyone to interrupt that train of thought. So, you know, I think it's good to just mention to your tutor, like, don't put me on the spot, because I won't be able to answer you. You know, also as well, I mean, I don't know how other people are, but I really, really struggle with sitting in a room for a long period of time, because I start getting overwhelmed. Lights, the feeling of the fabric on my skin. I need to move to change the stimuli. I need to just like shake it off. So you know, just making your tutor aware as well, you might need to just leave the room every now and again. And I battled with that all the way through education, but I didn't know what it was until I was diagnosed with autism, because I just get, after about 45 minutes in a room, I get hugely overwhelmed and I just want to scream and rip off all my clothes and just going, you know, it's really strange. It's just that everything just becomes so overwhelming. The other thing as well, now that, I mean, I'm just choosing anything from the top of my head that has been helpful in a classroom, because of sensory processing issues. I mean, other people might be different to me, but I found it really, really helpful wearing tinted glasses or dark glasses, because what happens to me in a classroom because of the fluorescent lights, this isn't specific to counselling, actually. I'm just picking anything that might be helpful. I get like tunnel vision and I can't see properly, and everything starts to become blurred. And the effort to try and focus makes me really tired. So I saved a lot of energy when I start wearing tinted glasses, because I'm not having to put in the effort to process the light.
Mm, mm.
I'm just trying to think anything else. Oh yeah, I'll look. Most colleges have learning support team.
Yeah.
Well, they will have. They will have. So it's definitely worth connecting with them if you start college, because they can offer you different support. They might be able to help you get access to software for your computer to help you. I've on my when I went to university, I've got a specific learning difficulty as well, and they helped me get a laptop with accessibility software on it, and I've got screen masking software which will put a tint over the screen to make it easier to read, which I haven't got on this computer, and actually it's quite bright. And that's really useful, and maybe even you might get a support worker as well to support you with the work. And sometimes it's helpful to have someone who understands autism to help you with the relationships in the class as well.
Yeah.
And for your tutor to know that as well, because your tutor can kind of watch, and just support you if there's misunderstandings, I think.
Being transparent is what I'm getting from that.
Yeah, I think so. And of course that's up to the individual as well. Some people might not, they might not want to, and that's okay. It's entirely up to the individual. But for me, to be honest with you, I just sat there in silence in my own way when I was doing my training. I didn't interact with people too much. I used to just like sitting there and just thinking through the whole lesson about the theories, about how it worked, and like a little machine trying to put all the cogs together. But yeah, I think there's some of the things that just come from the top of my head. And because I've been a student for a long time as well, a lot of my experience has come from being a student as well as being a teacher teaching it as well. And I've experienced both sides of it a lot. So yeah.
Absolutely. In terms of your career as well, Richard, obviously, so it's like I'm aware I've kept you for quite a bit of time, so there's about 2 or 3 more questions.
Don't worry about it, it's fine.
Got quite a few more things I'm quite interested in. In terms of your career, you talked about, being able to understand it from a student perspective and also the teacher perspective. What about some of the best things about the job? Some things that you'll remember, like when you finish up, when you're 80 or 90 or whenever, stuff that you'll remember forever that you really cherish, because those experiences, you'll know this. Obviously, you've taught us very hard experiences, but some very beautiful experiences as well. So can you talk to me through about some of the best things about the work you do, and obviously, whatever you can tell me, some of the most special moments of your career?
Some of the best. Speaking generally about counselling, I think the best stuff is where someone tells you a story and you think, what a privilege it is to just sit and listen to you tell your story. There's I can't give any specifics on that, of course, because of confidentiality, but there's been times where I sat there and thought, this is incredible. I can't believe what you're telling me. How on earth what a survivor story this is. So there's been times when, a number of times where I think, wow, that's amazing. And I think even as a teacher, there's been times, obviously it's been very difficult over the last year, but when you're in the class and you've been working with the class for a long time, something almost mystical happens in the class, and you can't really put your finger on what it is, but you just feel a bit like, wow, this is powerful in a strange way, and I don't really know why it is or what's happened in this class, because everyone's been on this journey together. And of course, counselling involves so much personal stuff, so much personal development, the counselling training. So being part of that is pretty amazing. And yeah, it's just experiencing those things, really, I suppose, that keeps you going. And I think it's quite special and important to me as well to be the person that I didn't have. Basically, in terms of my, my background, I got into the area I'm in because I was in a cult, and then I came out of the cult and I tried to find, it was very, very, very isolating. Nobody understood, and then finding that one person, finding the people who did understood was who did understand was so powerful. And it's quite important for me to be that person for other people, and to be sat there with them and they're like, yeah, that's exactly how it is, because the experiences are so isolating. So that's been pretty important as well. They're the things that will stand out. It's there are specifics, but I'm never able to share them because of confidentiality. But generally speaking, they're the things that are important to me.
Some beautiful moments there as well. And obviously you mentioned a little bit about your background in cults, and obviously people can Google you and hear about your experiences, and you set up your counselling practice to think again, which was specifically to help people who've been through those experiences are similar. And I wanted to ask you about, you know, what because it's one thing to have to go through that, and it must have been very traumatic for yourself as well. But what led to you using your experiences to then set up your own business, and how has that kind of grown and developed, you know, over time? Because again, you've done lectures, you've been on podcasts, you've becoming a bit of an authority over cults and therapy for people that have been in those situations in the UK. So how do you feel about sort of that status and your businesses to think again?
Yeah, it's funny, really. I did my master's is in coercive control, so my dissertation is on is reviewing, you know, analyzing language and how language is used to control in multi-level marketing companies and two Bible-based cult groups. And you know, I started that and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just interested in it because I've been through it. It's funny really how it happened, because when I was doing that, I wasn't particularly very well back then because I was still recovering. And when I started to feel better after my own therapy, I just thought, well, I've got to do something about this, because there's virtually nobody, there's only a handful of people specializing in that area in this country. And it's funny because I was walking through uni and there was a sign saying, oh, are you going to start up a business? Do you need some funding? And I was in a bit of a funny state of mind where I think I was still a little bit, I don't really know. I think I just did stuff. I think I was still recovering a bit from what I'd been through, so I would just spontaneously do things. And I went to this like meeting to sign up for this program, and I didn't really know what it was. I just needed the funding, and I because what I wanted to do was training as well, and I needed a data projector, and I knew I wanted to do. I just had to do something. Like I wanted to. It just needed doing. It was just from a need. And I went to this, and they sat me down, and I was supposed to do this proper presentation about my business plan, and I didn't have anything. I just sat there, and they went, why? So why did you come today? And I said, well, I'd like some money, please. I said, I want to do this training. I need a data projector, and I'm going to counsel people as well. And they said, well, what else can we help you with? And I went, well, I don't really understand taxes. and that's how it kind of started. And I got enrolled on this program at uni, which was brilliant. And I got a business advisor, and he checked my website. You know, I got that set up, and they gave me the funding, and I wrote some training material. And it was almost like it was one of those things where like I didn't overanalyze it. It just sort of happened because I thought this needs doing, let's just do it. And it just happened. And then I didn't get many clients, and like no cult people were ringing me up. And I was like, I want to help cult members. Why no cult members ringing me up? And I would just get clients, and I'd be like, I'm trying to work in this field and no one wants the counselling, but I know there's a need for it because there's hundreds and hundreds of ex-cult members out there struggling. And it just slowly picked up. It was a funny thing. It slowly picked up over time, and I got some great advice, and so, you know, from a few different people, from a lady called Julie Jenkinson, who she had to very kindly give me some of her time, and with a WhatsApp call, I think, and she just gave me some advice and guidance, and it just built up. And then before I knew it, I don't even need to advertise anymore. People find me online. At the moment, I get like 1 or 2 calls a week. But now it just runs itself. I'd like to devote more time to it, but it kind of just, at the moment, it's just a very small, it's kind of a small thing that runs alongside my teaching job. But a lot of the stuff I do, people ring me about, people are concerned about in cults, and we have a chat on the phone. It's not, and I think I usually have about 6 clients a week doing that as well. But it almost just evolved on its own because there was just a need. And it's like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know what clients I'm going to get. I didn't really know where it was going to go. I just needed doing, and that's how it came about. It was just from a need, really. And then before I knew it, it was established, and then it just runs now.
Amazing.
So yeah. I don't even know what your original question was. I've done that. My mind goes blank after like 2 seconds. I can't remember what.
No, it's good. just hearing about the business and how it's progressed and developed. And I guess, in terms of what you want to achieve in the future, what is left for you? Well, I'm going to ask you before we finish up about the work you're doing with Minecraft and counselling. In terms of to think again, and you mentioned it runs itself. Do you have any more goals for that and things you'd like to achieve?
Yeah, I would like. I mean, I would like to have a bit more time to devote to it. There's a few things that I need to do, like create better resources. I'd like to do some more training for people and things like that. But at the moment, I'm just not quite in that position yet because I've got to pay the bills, and I work full time as a tutor, which is quite hard going. But there's a few things I'd like to do to make it run a bit smoother, to make it a bit more of a solid foundation. So that I'd like to do that, just to have that bit more of extra time, and sorry, a bit more of extra time, and to kind of, I suppose it just needs fine tuning a little bit. It's running itself well, but it needs fine tuning. It just needs that time to, and I just would like to give like an extra, like a day a week to it than I am doing now, because there's such a desperate need for counsellors to specialise in ex-cult members, and there needs to be someone raising awareness, training other therapists, and it's only happening on a very small scale at the moment, which is concerning. But unfortunately, at the moment, the needing to pay the bills is taking priority over that.
Yeah, it's trusting in the process, though, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit of an inside joke there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously, it sounds like you've got a lot of goals in terms of the future of that business. Obviously, things you want to do. Again, wanting to teach people who can specialize in cults. I think that's an amazing idea to be able to teach as well. But you've also got another project that you just started up, where you want to meld your counselling experience with your love of Minecraft. So tell me a little bit more about how that takes form and what that is, and where people can check that out.
Yeah, that is a little seed at the moment. So basically, a bit of a background to that is, when I left the cult, I was mentally not in a very good place. And certain things happened after that made me even worse. And I began to lose myself, lose my identity. I got to the point where I got rid of most of my possessions, and I had nothing left. I was really not in a good place. And as part of rebuilding myself, I started playing Minecraft. It's the first thing I bought for myself when I broke free from these various abusive, not healthy situations I ended up in, where I was being controlled and manipulated a lot, and I lost my sense of identity in a lot of ways. And so the first thing I did was buy Minecraft, and in the background for quite a number of years, now that's been in the background, and it's been a really positive thing for me. I just think it's just great fun, and over time, I've started to think, I want this to be in my life a bit more now. I've been playing it for fun in the background, and it's very healing, I think, and positive, and it's creative, and and you can do what you want and you can control your own environment. And I think it's probably, and quite, I know that a few people have said it's quite good for your mental health in a lot of ways. And so more recently, I set up a gaming channel on YouTube, which is in its infancy. And I'm just getting used to that. And as we discussed before, the technology is challenging on many levels. So I started doing that, just gaming on YouTube. But in the back of my mind, I do want to get to the place where I'm connecting Minecraft with mental health in some way, one way or another. Potentially going into using it in therapy, or even connecting with different people through it that you wouldn't normally connect with. And another thing that's come up recently, I mean, there are a lot of autistic people that play Minecraft, but come up recently is the susceptibility of autistic people to cult recruitment as well. And so this all is linked in a strange kind of way, but I don't really know how yet. I'm letting it form like the counselling practice. I'm just letting it be what it is at the moment. At the moment, it's a fun thing to do on YouTube, and then eventually maybe it might develop. But I do want to start thinking about that, really, because it's really special to me, Minecraft, and it might seem silly to other people, but it's really special to me, and I do think it's got like a power to it to be a positive change. I'll be part of it, obviously not everything. It's not the answer to the world's problems, but it could, because it's a positive thing for me. So I do want to use it in some way in the future, but I'm still working out how that might look. And then I think there's definitely a therapeutic. It's definitely useful as a therapeutic tool. It's how that all look. I know that it's been explored a lot in various areas as well, but just let's see how that goes.
I look forward to it. Sounds like as well, it's like what we were talking about earlier, where it's something that you love that perhaps other people are like, that's a little different, and you're like, you love it, and you can now incorporate it into what you do and what you love in the counselling profession as a way to help others. I think that's a brilliant thing, a nice symbiosis, of two things, something that you love and also your professional world, which is great.
I have this struggle with like some things I get so like, it's like over the top emotional about and passionate. And I think, and I have these moments where I think, I wish that was part of my job. So then I think, how can I make it part of my job? And that's what I do in my head. Oh, I want to work with cult men. I'm interested in cults. I've been in a cult. I want to help people. Oh, let's make it part of me. Let's bring it into the, employment and just finding that way. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see where it all goes.
I'm very excited. Richard. Just before we finish up, this is the question everybody gets in every interview: is what would you like to plug? Where can people find you if they're interested in working with you? Where can people find you to subscribe? And what resources have you got out there that people can access? And link. What should people be searching for?
Okay, so my counselling practice website is tothinkagain.co.uk. That is my private practice website, but I also do support for families. So if you're concerned about someone in a cult and you need advice and guidance, so I do training for families, teach them about cult psychology, how to communicate with the cult member, basically supporting them because they can't, often struggling and panicking and worrying about them and things like that. So I do that, and I've done some media stuff as well to do cult related things, giving professional opinion or whatever you call it. So I've done that. That's all part of the counselling practice. If you want to check out my baby YouTube channel, it's Rich J Turn, because my name is Richard James Turner, and it's just shortened, so Rich J Turn, all just one word. And that's also my name on Twitch as well. But these are currently in their infancy, but hopefully they'll grow. And if you want to add me on LinkedIn, it's Richard James Turner. And I've also written an article on cults and autism on LinkedIn if you want to check that out. And there's a few different bits and bobs online. If you go on my website into the about section, you'll see some of the media related things I've done. So a few interviews and my story. There's a link to my story there as well.
Fantastic. Excellent plug in there, Richard. Good work. Well, thank you so much for giving me your time today.
No problem.
Really appreciate it. And it's great to catch up as well.
No problem.